There's Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Sam Jones. Very festive background we got going on as well. How's it going, mate?
I feel like Macaulay Culkin in this setting. But you know what it was, Danny? I genuinely forgot that I was going to have to do the interview with you, but I thought I'm not going to let you down. So I'm just sitting in A1 position.
We don't want you in a variety of positions, Sam, generally in these interviews, so it's all good.
This is going the wrong way already.
Yeah, we've said that before and all. But moving on, we saw a great performance over the weekend. Not the most exciting fight we've ever seen. Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. You've obviously got a vested interest as the manager of Jack Catterall, who sits in the top 5 of all 4 major governing bodies at 140 pounds. What did you make of the fight? Disappointed, perhaps, in Prograis? Impressed by Haney? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Devin Haney, but I didn't think it'd be that easy. But I thought it would be like I thought Devin Haney was going to win on points, but I didn't think it would be that easy. But props to Devin. But this is why I wanted the fight for Jack Catterall, because I always believed that Jack had a style to beat Regis, and I said everyone's going to go, no, Devin Haney's better than Jack Catterall. But that's my belief. I believe Jack Catterall would have beaten Regis. But listen, props to Devin Haney. Did put on a great performance.
And you see him staying at 140 pounds for some time now. I know he's talked about perhaps even moving up to 147. He's certainly not going to go back down, but do you see him at the weight for a while?
Say again, sorry.
Do you see Devin Haney staying at 140 pounds for a while? Because he's talked about moving up. He's certainly not going to go back down.
No, I think he's mandatory Sandor Martin. He's not fighting Sandor Martin in a million years, because it's the stinker among stinks. The stinker among stinkers. It's the king of stinkers, that fight is. So there's no way he's fighting him.
Well, I'm the king of the stinkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you did that on purpose. I'm gonna let you have that one. But yeah, so you don't see him staying at the weight for long. Where's Jack Catterall in all this? I know you're going to fight his case, of course, and as I said, he's in the top 5 for all 4 major bodies. Which of those routes is most likely for him now, do you think?
I think. Listen, we're in talks to make the. What are you, Danny? Start the thing again. What are you doing?
Yeah, we were just saying Jack Catterall, top 5 for all 4 major bodies. Which of those routes do you feel is most likely for him?
Listen, as I say, we're in talks to make. Everyone knows we're in talks to make this the Josh Taylor fight. That's it. Listen, cards on the table. It's Jack's biggest fight. It's Josh Taylor's biggest fight. Everybody wants to see it, and that's the fight that I believe should happen next. But when he settles that score, Jack will fight any of the champions. Genuinely, he'll fight any of the champions, anyone. Listen, Matthias looks like a bit of a monster, but he'd fight him. It's an interesting scenario with the Rolly Romero situation, because I think he's going to end up vacating. I think the winner of Barroso and Ahara will get promoted to full champion. So that's an interesting way. And then the WBC title, I think, will be vacated by then. I think Devin will move up to, as I say, move up or down or whatever he's doing. He'll look at making these
down.
No, yeah, he probably isn't going to move down, but yeah, it's going to look to make these super fights. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting time, but Jack will legit fight anybody.
We talked just now about Josh Taylor and that big rematch, but Josh was in the news himself recently complaining about purse offers that he's had from promoters. What did you make of those comments?
Listen, I know, listen, you're probably going to clickbait me and whatnot, but Josh Taylor's never really got his flowers for being an undisputed champion. I genuinely don't think that, and I think he does deserve more credit than what he gets. But unfortunately for Josh Taylor, his dance partner is Jack Catterall from Chorley. That's his dance partner. It's unfortunate, because I know Josh doesn't want that to be the case, but it is. If Josh goes another route, people are just his legacy is gonna be questioned, and it shouldn't be. So before anyone says, "Oh, what's he talking?" I'm saying British boxing fans are unforgiving. Yeah.
We're rejoined by Sam Jones there. Clearly a very popular man. You just talk about how Josh Taylor, British boxing fans are unforgiving. I mean,
the British boxing fans are unforgiving. So like, it's like with domestic fights, it never happened. They won't let you forget about it. Like, people want to see this fight. We're game to make this fight. I believe Josh does want the fight, but he doesn't. Well, I'm not sure whether he wants to fight, but I think he knows deep down he has to take the fight. And he needs to be sensible because he's coming off the back of 2 defeats. And he talks about, oh, Jack can't sell and whatnot. Well, he was in talks to fight Steve Claggett, whoever that is. No disrespect to Steve Claggett. No disrespect to him. But where's that fight going to take place? Because I can assure you that won't fill the Hydro. It'll sell 20 tickets. You need dance partners to make big fights. And this is a big fight. So let's get it on.
And just to quote his tweet, in all fairness, so he says, "I don't accept offers at an 80% pay cut." Presumably he means from the first fight rather than his last fight, but I'm not sure. He says, especially for a fight that's bigger than the first fight, I don't know anyone on the planet that would fight for that kind of pay cut. If Matchroom are serious about making the fight, they've got to put a serious offer in. Simple as that.
Well, Eddie sharpened his pencil and sent in an upgraded offer this morning.
60% pay cut this time.
Yeah, well, listen, I've one thing I can assure you is, and I'm not a maths expert, but I can almost guarantee you it's not an 80%. I've seen the offer. So if that's an 80% less offer, Josh don't need to box anymore because he's financially secure for the rest of his life. So, yeah, listen, Josh needs to be realistic. He needs to be realistic. He's, coming off the back of 2 defeats. His biggest fight is Jack Catterall, unfortunately for him. And Jack Catterall's biggest fight is Josh. Cards on the table. Let's not talk bollocks. That's the biggest fight for both men. Has to happen now, otherwise it will never happen ever again.
How much does it mean to Jack getting that official victory over Josh Taylor? Because he feels obviously he did enough the first time.
Danny, like, I swear to you this. Even when I was in Tesco the other day, and somebody said to me, "Dog, when are you making? When's Jack Catterall fighting Josh Taylor?" Like, people are interested. And that's me. I'm irrelevant. So can you imagine how many times Jack gets stopped and asked, and Josh, "Oh, you need to settle the score with Jack. You need to put it right. You need to," because Josh has his fans. I don't think he's got as many as he did have, but he's still got his fans there. So I think for both men, it needs to be put to bed.
And where does it leave Jack in terms of world title shots? Should he come through against Josh Taylor? Is he then pole position? Does it set him back perhaps because other guys are fighting?
No, not at all. I think because of the size of the fight that it will be, it's a fight that, listen, of course it will, like, everybody's going to watch it, aren't they? On both sides of the pond. I genuinely believe that, because there was so much controversy around the first fight, and controversy sells. So it's not going to leave Jack. It's going to leave Jack in a good position, because I think Jack is going to win emphatically this time.
What do you make of the rest of the 140-pound division? If we assume that Devin Haney's not staying long and he's going to move up, what chances do you give Jack Catterall of unifying the division, mate? Being another
Every chance, Danny. I think Jack can beat any of them. I say that honestly. I believe Jack can beat any of them. Jack has the style to beat any of them. Jack's a fantastic fighter. And listen, I know, like, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, but Jack should be undisputed champion. He should be undisputed champion, and that's the reason why this fight's will be a big sell.
What will it mean to you, especially given how it went in the first fight with Taylor, when Jack does win that world title? What will it mean to you personally?
Special, because I've got quite a close relationship with Jack. It will be my greatest like night in boxing.
Wow. Well, let's fingers crossed it comes together. When do you expect to know one way or the other regarding the Taylor fight? We'll
know within the next 7 days, because listen, Jack's going to be in camp now, so the fight will take place, I don't know, back end of Feb, early March. Jack's in camp now, so let's see what happens. It's over to Eddie to sharpen his pencil. Josh has got to be realistic and listen. Let's put it to bed. Let's get this fight on.
Talking about Eddie and his pencil, no euphemism there. There's been a lot of talk about Ben and Eubank, and we've discussed it a number of times in the past.
I'm bored of hearing about it, if I'm honest, Danny. Honestly, I'm so sick. Me and you have done about 300 interviews on Ben Eubank. I'm so sick to have to talk about it. Like I know I'm butting in before you even asked me the question. I really want to see the fight just because I'm intrigued by it. But my God, like some of the numbers I'm hearing branded for this fight, Eubank's insane not to take this fight. If the fight doesn't happen, it's bonkers because of I know the numbers that's being offered to Eubank. It's mental money.
Do you think Eubank's maybe trying to leverage the whole situation with the board of control to get more money?
No. So basically, Eubank's in a position where, look, it's widely regarded. The situation's not ideal, right? Conor Benn's in a position where what fight can Matchroom deliver Conor Benn? Like the Kell Brook fight, that can happen, but that's in the summer.
Yeah.
It's a long way off. Do you know what I mean? Like Conor what fights are there at welterweight? I mean, listen, I know that they're in talks to sign Jaron Ennis. That's a great fight, but there's no fight bigger for Conor Benn than Eubank, but vice versa. Let's be truthful. Who can Eubank fight that's going to generate that type of money? There's a Billy Joe Saunders rematch, but that's like, again, later in the year, but it's not as big as the Conor Benn fight. Who's he going to fight? Janabek? Nathan Heaney at Stoke? Eubank's insane as well. Like, he's got to get real, but I think he's got Matchroom, not by the balls, but he's thinking that you need me for this, but really, it's hilarious because he needs them as well. Because again, it's like this Taylor Catterall situation. I'm not saying it's as big as the Eubank Ben because it's clearly not, but it's still a massive domestic fight, Jack and Josh. But you need each other in these situations. But Eubank's obviously leveraging because he's thinking the board of control are not going to be involved. That's obvious. Look, if Conor Benn's going to fight in the UK, it's going to have to be something massive because the juice has to be worth the squeeze to go through all the hurdles. That's going to have to be, listen, let's call a spade a spade. It's going to be a hard job, this fight. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to get a different sanctioning body in. It's going to be awkward. So the juice is going to have to be worth the squeeze. And I think the Eubank Ben situation is worth the squeeze. It's going to be massive money. And everyone's going to be involved because, like what I just said about Jack and Josh, controversy sells. So it's a massive fight. I really hope it happens, but I'm not confident it will because if Eubank's even thinking about turning down the numbers I'm hearing that he's getting offered, Eubank must be a very wealthy young man.
He said controversy sells. Someone who's been quite controversial last week was Deontay Wilder. Didn't really hear much from him for a year or more since
What's
the
he
third
said now?
Fury
What's
fight.
he said now?
He was on the podcast, The Last Stand, with Brian Custer, and he said a number of things. He still insists that Fury's, a massive cheat, and that's not news really at this point in his view. But I think the thing that got the most attention was his comments about Anthony Joshua. He said, first of all, that Anthony Joshua is a made fighter, a manufactured fighter. He accused Eddie Hearn and Matchroom of papering Joshua's crowds as well, of handing out complimentary tickets and then reselling them. So it looks like sellouts when they're not. He said that there's no way he thinks the AJ fight will actually come to fruition because he's the only profitable fighter in Eddie Hearn's stable currently, in Wilder's view, and they wouldn't risk that cash cow against someone like Wilder who's so powerful.
That might be, and I like Wilder, and I'd never say it to his face because he's scary, but that might be the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard, ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there.
What a load of absolute bollocks. One, Tyson didn't cheat. Like, he just didn't cheat. He just filled him in. Let's be honest. Tyson beat him up. Take it on the chin, literally. You lost 3 times. You've lost, mate. You've lost. Secondly, everybody knows, and like you will know this, getting hold of Anthony Joshua tickets prior to Hellenius, gold dust. They're gold dust. The Hellenius fight, yeah, there was spare seats there because originally people were paying money to see the Dillian White fight. That was a sellout. AJ is only profitable to Eddie Hearn now because of with the fights that he's going to be involved in. If he fought Tyson Fury, stadium sellout 3 times over. If he fights Wilder, probably the biggest fight in boxing. Definitely the most exciting, like, because it could be over in 10 seconds. Yeah, he's talking absolute bollocks.
I think on that last point, it was more that he feels AJ is the only profitable fighter in Matchroom. He's saying no one else is making Eddie Hearn any money.
Well,
I'm not saying that's true. That's equally bollocks, but that was his point.
Yeah, boxing swings in roundabouts, doesn't it? Like you have your stars, and then you have to rebuild stars. Like he's building that Pacheco guy who's selling well in Mexico. He's just sold out San Francisco with Devin Haney. Like Eddie's got a few fighters that make him money. Of course, I think boxing itself is going for a transitional period where the older guard is kind of coming towards the end. Your Golovkins, your big sells, Canelo Alvarez. He's not going to be around for much longer. Listen, I know this might be, but Canelo Alvarez, as big as he is, I'll add this: if he fights, I don't know, the Charlo brother next, I don't think that's a huge sell.
No,
that doesn't mean Canelo's not a huge star, but it's like that's not the fight we want to see. We want to see him fight Benavidez. It's like if Anthony Joshua boxes Ruiz in the 3rd fight, I think it would sell out the O2. But is it a stadium fight? No. But if he boxed Wilder, it is a stadium sellout. Do you understand what I mean? Like I think boxing's changing a lot at the moment. Like people, that's why I think matchmaking's becoming harder. Fights are becoming more. They're gonna know they have to become more competitive because we have to switch people. I'm kind of going around I'm kind of gone off subject there, but I know what I know what I mean. But this is what I mean. If Wilder boxes Joe Parker in, I don't know, in New York, that's not a sellout.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Wilder's a big draw, but I'm saying, but if you box Tyson Fury in the 4th fight, it's a big sell because people know it's exciting. But if you box AJ, then it's enormous anywhere in the world. You need yeah. But going round to it, I like Deontay Wilder genuinely. Like he's must-watch TV, but that is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard.
Just as a final one, a bit of a left field one, if you like. I want to talk to you a little bit about the need or otherwise for promoters to be media facing, to leverage their own profiles to help their business. So you've got Eddie Hearn, for example, does 1,000,001 interviews every day. You've got Frank Warren, who's a lot more selective, has in the past mocked Eddie for how many interviews he's done. You've got Ben Shalom, a boxer, who hasn't done an interview with a YouTube boxing outlet in several months now, by design, as far as we're aware. Al Heyman.
Did he not do an interview the other day?
He's been on the George Groves Boxing Club podcast, and he's done.
Did he not do anything with Bilham Smith the other day?
Not as far as I'm aware. No, he's done TalkSport recently, but no YouTube outlets.
That's weird, though. That's a bit weird. That's a bit weird.
But then you've got Al Heyman in the US. Supporters would say he's not a promoter per se, but kind of fits the bill, and he's never seen, never mind heard.
But he has people like Leonard Ellaby doing that for him. Do you know what I mean? Like he has hired, with the greatest respect, like Leonard, but like he has hired help, doesn't he? He has hired stooges to do that type of...
With the greatest respect to the stooge Leonard Ellaby. Not sure they go in the same sentence.
I don't mean that, but like he has hired help, doesn't he? He has hired help.
But how important do you think it is? I mean, you're a manager, you're out there a lot, you've been a promoter in the past.
Yeah, because Danny, genuinely, right? I know like people might say, but like I don't ask to do interviews, mate. I really don't. I don't ask to do interviews. People ask me because I don't know. Some people might think I talk bollocks. Some people might think I know what I'm talking about. But people will listen to my stuff. I'm saying loads of people. But like, it depends what you are. I mean, what boxers need to work on their own profiles nowadays. They really do. I know, like, it's sad, and I know people say, "Oh, what's this twat on about?" But unfortunately, we live in an era, social media era, where you can't just be good at boxing. Like that can get you so. But to become a star, you need to build up your profile. And like what Eddie does, yeah, listen, Eddie's become a star in his own right, like, but he's out there, isn't he? Promotes, he pushes. Like, look at Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz, like, wouldn't be that sell that Eddie did for him is like, it's so important for somebody like an Andy Cruz. Like, you don't need Tyson Fury, with the greatest of respect to Frank Warren, one of the greatest promoters of all time. Tyson Fury doesn't really need a promoter. He's a self-promoter. Do you understand what I mean? Like he doesn't really. Some fighters just don't need that. They need someone to like help put their shows on, but like certain fighters need pushing. It depends that way. But like, yeah, I do think promoters are important, but like they're few and far between. Not everyone can be a Frank Warren, a Hall of Fame promoter like Frank Warren. Not anybody can be. Oh, thumbs up! I like that new
That
feature.
keeps happening. Yeah, I don't. It must be the
Yeah,
new thing on Zoom.
it. But yeah, like you can't. These people are like 1 in a million. Like Bob Arum, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn. These guys are like De La Hoya. I suppose you're gonna have to put him in there, even though he's a bit of a fruity character nowadays, isn't he, old Oscar? But like, yeah, it's a hard one. Like, but Ben Shalom, he came on the scene saying, I'm not going to be like Eddie Hearn. I'm not going to be like Frank Warren. I'm not going to do interviews. And then a month later, he's doing hundreds of interviews. You can't start that and then not decide you're not going to be facing. If the way he is now, when he's not hiding, that's the wrong word. The way he is now, like staying away from interviews, that's probably what you should have done in the first place, and probably brought a Malinaji or a David Hay, somebody that knows the business, knows the sport, and then kind of probably put them front of house. Because you need it. I do believe promoters need a face. But then when you've got, like, I don't know, the balance is good with someone like Matchroom. The balance is good with Queensberry, because George Warren isn't really a camera face guy. Even though I really rate George Warren, like as in front of camera, I think George Warren's
hates
a
doing
class
them.
act.
He hates doing them. You know.
Yeah, but George Warren's a class act. I think he's very, very good. He goes about his business well, but he's very good at delivering interviews. But I know George, like personally, he doesn't like doing interviews.
Nah.
So, but he's still got his dad to bring in and say, look, Dad, Frank, you're still that guy where you can kind of roll the red carpet and Frank will come and have his cigar on camera now. Like that to the dynamics. Well, it's like with Eddie and Eddie Hearn and Frank Smith. They have the dynamic really well. I think Frank does more of the contracts and the business stuff, and Eddie's the Eddie's the performing seal, isn't he? He's the face
that runs the place.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. Like with boxer, I don't really see I don't see the balance there yet. But listen, they're still probably finding their feet, aren't they? They're still probably finding their feet. But I do think Ben Shalom needs a, what's that? I forget his name. Dan Savage,
Dan.
like that. Savage Dan. Yeah, like he does helps Ben with a lot of the pushing and pulling. But I do think maybe Ben would benefit of somebody like listen, I'm not saying David Hay, but I'm saying a David Hay type character that kind of will do the sales and,
David Hay's got his hands full at the moment, reputedly, but
with his thruple. Yes.
Is how many thruples have there been? I think this is like the third or fourth.
I don't know. He's some man, isn't he, David? But yeah, but I'm sure. Listen, but that's just my opinion. I do think you need that type of setup. Like, yeah, listen, that's just my opinion. But yeah, with Queensberry, they've even got Dev Sarni doing a really good job. Yeah. Listen, Dev does a really good job. He takes a lot of the workload. Then Dev is literally like a Swiss Army knife, isn't he? He does everything. MC, he does the press conferencing, he does the interviewing, he does a bit of everything.
Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Yeah. Like so with Dev, like he's a great company man. Listen, I'll give Dev his props, but fair play to Dev. He does a great job. So you've got Queensberry, they've got a really good balance. Matchroom, really good balance. But Boxer, I struggle to see the balance. Like if Ben's now decided he's not going to do interviews, which I probably think is a good thing in a way. But I do think he needs somebody to be a voice. Like Adam Smith, he would have been a good candidate.
Well, Johnny Nelson obviously does quite a lot, but then he's very much a Sky representative rather than boxing.
Yeah, I know, but like even Johnny Nelson, that's a good shout. Johnny knows his stuff. Johnny's a former boxing man. Johnny's a great. But when Johnny Nelson talks, whether not too sure on his predictions, but I listen to Johnny Nelson when he talks.
And no worse than David Hayes. Let's be honest.
Yeah. He commands respect, doesn't he, Johnny? He commands a lot of respect. I just think they probably boxer need to, because it's a great platform. Sky's an unbelievable platform, so they probably need to find their balance, if that makes sense. But listen, they're still relatively new, so I'm sure they will. But yeah, I didn't know Ben was not doing interviews anymore.
Not for a while. I mean, maybe that will change. We shall see. And like I said, he did talk sport, I believe, recently. So maybe he's taking baby steps back towards the loving bosom of
He's too good. He's too
YouTube
good to do
boxing.
interviews. He's too good to speak to the deep.
He's been
flexes of the
burned a
world.
couple of times as well, in fairness. You know, he was burned by that thing ages ago where there was the list of topics to talk about. Then there was the Billy Joe Saunders messages as well. And he probably feels a bit protective of himself.
Yeah. Listen, he is, but unfortunately, you can't. You've got to have nuts to do this. You've got to have big nuts to do this. Danny, in the whole time you've known me, have I ever said to you, "Oh, don't say this, don't ask me these questions"? I've told you, open book, ask me whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I've got nothing to like ever hide. So I believe that you've got to be a bit more thicker skinned than that, than to say, no, AJ, no, no questions. Like you've got to have a bit of thicker skin. But look, Ben's clearly doing something right, because he's working on one of the biggest platforms in the world. So he's obviously doing something right. But I think they'll find the balance. They'll get the balance.
Great stuff. Sam, I'm going to let you get back to your Christmas tree. I mean, it's finished. I'm not saying it doesn't look finished, but yeah, let you get back to enjoying the festive period. Are those your Crocs we can see in the background there, Sam? They look about your size.
What are you trying to say?
And your style.
Yeah.
Sam will send you pictures of him in those Crocs for a certain fee, from what I've heard.
I will. I'll sell them on OnlyFans.
Yeah. Good stuff. Sam, really appreciate it, mate. And let's catch up again soon.
It's not doing the thumbs up anymore. It only does it once.
I noticed you kept doing it after it did it the first time to try and make it come up as well. I'm glad it's mugged you off.
Nice to talk to you, Danny. We'll catch up soon, mate.
Take care, mate. See you soon.